let's pretend we haven't already been here for lunch.
Yeah. Darren just walked in to the studio, and
I rocked in to find Andy in pre-production.
that's exactly whatever that is. So yeah, but yeah. So there we go. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the podcast, and I'm delighted that Darren is going to co-host and guest today. Which we kind of planned this a while ago, didn't we? Before, and we never really got around to it.
Probably a bit easier to set the world to rights when you're not on your own.
Yeah, exactly. I get bored waffling a bit.
On your own's a bit more Alex Jones, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
The aliens. Yeah. This is a bit more. Oh, this is somebody to bounce ideas off. Not
yeah,
bad.
we're not there yet. But
okay.
you know, yeah.
I wish I had his money.
Apparently he's bankrupt.
Is he?
Well, didn't he get done in the courts for the school shooting?
Saying some crazy shit.
Yeah, I don't know how, but he got sued for. But then he got sued for hundreds of millions. But then he then had to go back and go, listen, I don't have hundreds of millions.
Yeah, who came up with this figure? I don't have that.
Yeah, I know, but
it's okay.
So now he's being countersued because they're saying that he fucking does. And
okay, I'd like to take that back. I will no longer refer to Andy as Lurgan's Alex Jones. Anyone sued? I don't have hundreds of pounds. I don't have hundreds of millions.
No.
Look at you, man.
No, I have £70.
I'll give you 50 quid to shut up.
I now have £120. Yeah.
Anyway.
So, cool. Okay, as always, start with gigs upcoming. The Bonneville's are playing Kilkenny Roots Festival, 4th and 5th of May, which I think is next week or the week after.
It is.
And then we play the Cathedral Arts Quarter Festival in Belfast in the Deer's Head, 1 o'clock gig on Saturday the 11th. Then I've got a solo gig with Mandy Bingham here at the house, Chakyol. Go to the Bonneville's website, thebonnevilles.co.uk, for tickets and links for all of those. And then we go to the Mrs. Rooster Festival in Finland, the 1st of June. Darren, what do you got, brother?
Lad, you love Scandinavia.
Yeah.
What a spot.
Scandinavia loves us.
The Scandies are great, aren't they?
Yeah.
What have I got coming up? I have 2 dates in the theatre in the Grand Opera House on the 10th and 11th of May.
Brilliant.
So I put together a great show where myself, Connor Keys from Oma, the fantastic Rory Woods, the Strman Man, and Leanne McCooey, my partner in crime down in Newry. So we're going to do 2 nights, 2 shows, and it's going to be a hell of a night. So nice big compilation show.
In the Opera House?
In the studio space of the Opera House. So it's like a little side studio, which is very, very nice.
I've never seen that.
There you go. Well, that's one for you to go to if you're not in Scandinavia.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely, I will. And this as well, while we're promoting stuff, go and get your gift for Gaza chocolate from the Global Relief Trust, which I believe is the only charity that's actually getting aid into Gaza. I don't know how. grtuk.org, and I'm going to get a box of this and have it on the Bonneville's merch and on our website as well for sale. So it's really nice too. Jeannie's a chocolate expert.
Okay.
So she is a fan of this.
No
so
problem.
I bought like a dozen bars. That's for you.
That's mine. That's how you get paid on this podcast. We have a cup of tea when we're finished.
Yeah, that's your lot. So that's it. We're going to talk about the TikTok ban first and how that's leading to disruption and other things in the US. And while we're promoting, if you want to join the Patreon, it's £1 a month. That's all. It's only one tier. And I want to thank all the sign-ups this week, which has been kind of impressive. I wasn't expecting that many. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. If you want to head over to the Patreon, the links will be under in the show notes. And for those of you that don't want to do a Patreon, because it's a regular thing, and I understand that, but want to throw a couple of bucks into the bucket, I've also started a thing called Buy Me a Coffee.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a couple of creators that use that. It's very, very handy.
Yeah, because everyone's on Patreon, and you could end up doing too many of those, and it just I understand you don't want to be doing that. So if you want to throw a couple of bucks in to that bucket, you can. And again, there'll be a link for just search for politics, or just go to the website, Buy Me a Coffee, and search for it, or use the link, which I will.
I think whenever I used to look for your stuff when I was listening to the podcast when you were originally doing it, I think I used to type in like politics shit and it would come up. There you go. Try that, everybody. Yeah.
Politics shit. It's shit politics. Yeah. In that order.
Mm.
Absolutely. Well, I don't see why that wouldn't work. So let's do it. So we're going to talk about this. Is a TikTok ban. And essentially what's happened is TikTok has been targeted by the US government. And again, going to sound very Alex Jonesy, the deep state.
Fantastic.
The deep state for basically they've forced through a ban or a bill to essentially ban it, which and the way they're going to do that is they're going to. So I'm going to read this little thing here. This is from the Irish Times. Oh shit, that's not it.
No, that's about bands.
That's about bands.
Yeah. So you go. You did. You did have the
I
article.
did have
earlier
the
on.
article
Yes.
up earlier
So
on, didn't I?
I have a hook about there. Well, it'll be in your running order there. The basic idea is, of course, is because TikTok is totally creator led. So what you put out into the world is the app will just show whatever. So that basically has become unpopular with certain people.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people just going, hey, I think this is what's going on in the world. And they're like, well, that's not what we wanted you using it for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Exactly. Well, the open app. Let me just have a little quick hook about here. See.
Yeah, because I do use it
There it
sometimes.
is,
I'll put up clips and stuff. So, but that's a bit more innocent as what people are using it for now. So.
Well, this is the thing. So we're going to. I'm going to show you all some videos of what the reason why it's become a very effective tool against the establishment, and that's what we can't forget that that's what it's actually the establishment. It's that that old Tony Benn sort of
Yes.
thing where he says we can't forget why the establishment became the establishment and what they are and what they do, and how, they use violence to become the establishment, and they will use violence to stay the establishment.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is not a new idea. This is the same thing as whenever there was all the revolutions in Europe in the 19th century, where the kings and queens would deploy their troops to be like, let's put that rabble back and that sort of thing. This led to things like the French Revolution and all that because it was just like, do as you're told, and they're like, there's more of us. We're not going to fucking do as we're told anymore.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So here's an article from the Irish Times: why the US has effectively banned TikTok. Now, I did find it very difficult to get a proper read from an article on the reasons why. We'll get into the reasons, the actual reasons why. But whenever I Googled this, it was just, CNN, BBC, Sky, and it was all saying because China.
Yes.
And it's fucking nothing to do with that. So we'll get into it here. I'm not going to read the whole article because it's not too bad. So what is happening? TikTok is facing an effective ban in the US. A new foreign aid bill passed the Senate, giving the company up to a year to sell its assets. Now, this was the bill that passed last week that put 68 million to Ukraine and 20 million to Israel, 8 million to Taiwan.
Billion.
Sorry, billion.
It's not millions.
Million. Sorry, 68 billion. Pardon me, you're right. 20 million or billion to Israel, 8 billion to Taiwan, and the TikTok ban bill all got packaged in the same bill and passed in one vote.
Yeah, this is the whole thing where with the US legislation, they will stick things together.
Yeah.
Which, because you go, well, I don't agree with that at all, but these other two things I'm okay with.
Well, see,
so they whacked it all together, and then you go, when you vote, though, you're voting everything through.
Well, exactly, and that's how they've effectively hacked democracy, because the lobbyists, because you might be against giving money to Taiwan or money to Ukraine, but you've got Israeli donors and lobbyists that will provide you, funding you. So they don't give a fuck about Ukraine or Taiwan, so they'll say, no, you have to vote this through. And that's how, so it all gets put, so the more stuff they can bundle in the one bill, the more of a likelihood it's all to pass.
And one of the things was getting TikTok. See, it's that idea with we're banning TikTok unless you can sell it to us, so we'll take that. Yeah. This is the issue.
Yeah, this is it. So a year to sell its US assets. The legislation, which has been signed by US President Joe Biden.
Nice one, Joe.
Like he fucking signed. He knows he signed it. Unbelievable. It gives the company 9 months to agree a sale and further 3 to complete the sale. Doesn't sound like a lot. Why? And so here is one of the reasons, allegedly. And I say allegedly. Why is
lot.
TikTok being singled out over other social media companies, many of whom also collect similar amount of data, if not more? The key lies in the company's ownership. TikTok is part owned by ByteDance, a Chinese company, with a controlling stake in the firm, with a bulk of the remainder owned by a mixture of investors that include US investment firms such as Carlyle Group, the General Atlantic, Susquehanna International Group. Because of its Chinese ownership, it is subject to Chinese laws, prompting fears in some quarters that it would cooperate with the Chinese government if compelled to do so. US authorities have been fairly vocal about their concerns over national security. You can buy all this information on the open market.
Yeah. Can I point out as well that it's not so when they say China, TikTok is part owned by
Yeah.
China.
Yeah,
Those other firms are all American.
all American.
So then they're just like, right, that's okay,
Yeah,
but we need the Chinese bit bought out.
yeah. So it's just racism then.
But that when they were like, it's a Chinese app, I'm just like, hang on, it's just said part owned.
Yeah,
And also, it's not one of those ones where, like Carlyle Group, General Atlantic, that would be one of those ones where if you're thinking, if I go looking at you, what else do you own?
Oh,
Because all the
completely.
companies in America, a small company is owned by a bigger company, which is owned by,
Yeah.
I mean, essentially the whole world is owned by about 4 companies.
Right,
So
yeah.
these guys must not be one of them, which is why they're like, not happy about that.
Yeah, they mustn't be one of the really evil ones,
Oh,
just the quite evil ones.
me?
TikTok is particularly influential with younger users and a higher engagement rate than other platforms. Now, this is the fucking key.
It's just a new thing,
Yeah.
newer thing. Yeah.
So, the app has been barred from US government officials' phones on security grounds, although it is not the only country to take this step. That's true. In the UK, if you work for the government, you can't use TikTok. And I don't think you can use Facebook and stuff like that on your phones. But what TikTok does in harvesting data, I mean, we now have, your fridge can do that now. Literally,
Yeah.
your fridge can do that now. Your fridge is touting on you.
Yeah, put that Wi-Fi code into that fridge there.
Exactly. Right. The fridge is touting on you. So this is clearly there's 2 reasons behind this. One is the legacy media, being your television companies, your etc., and the more established internet companies and digital companies, your Google, Facebooks, etc., they're getting their eyes wiped because TikTok is literally mopping up all their advertising budget. Everybody's advertising on TikTok now, and still advertising on YouTube and Google and all the rest of it, but not to the same numbers. And they're just looking at all this TikTok money and they're going, "We want some of that." So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is because the legacy media, being BBC, Sky News, CNN, etc., no one's watching these things anymore.
Yeah.
There are YouTubers. There are literal podcast, like Joe Rogan being one. He'd been the biggest of them all, I guess. But they are getting far exponentially more eyeballs per episode per output than these companies would get in a year.
Yeah.
And so there's that, and then there's the young people. Young people, the last place on earth they would go to for news is the establishment media. It's creating waves now with this Israel-Gaza thing.
As you see, in some of the stuff we're gonna look at is that idea where young people are using their TikTok to dissect what a media outlet is saying.
Yeah.
Where they're going, hey, I've just been watching and I've just, there's lots of that. So then they're going, well, Jesus, this is hundreds of millions of people that are questioning what we're telling them.
Exactly.
And then they're telling other people who are going, yeah, when you think about that, that's not probably okay.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. That's another probably reason where they're like, hey, fucking, we need to keep that a bit quieter,
see, the thing I find fucking fascinating is whenever you get the American dream, right? That was the West's go-to meme for decades. Everybody wanted to live, even if you were living somewhere else. It was the idea that you could be a working class person, work yourself into the middle class, and do A, B, C, own a house, put your kids through school, and leave the world with your kids in a better place than you arrived in it. That was always the dream. It was as Carolyn says, you need to be asleep to believe it.
Well, that pretty much existed from the end of World War II to the Vietnam War starting, and after that,
Exactly. It was
Done.
a downward slide.
Yeah.
Exactly. 100%. But when you take that forward from Vietnam to today, which is 60 years roughly, right? Um, you've now got a generation of kids who are gonna all across the world who are doing worse than their parents. They will not be able to afford to buy a house. They will leave college with, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of pounds or dollars or whatever, euros. Maybe not euros. Europe's different, but in debt. And one of the things I find very interesting is there's always been empire. Empires have always existed. And I remember reading about like the one that obviously the one that the biggest one, the one, the most famous one, the Roman one, the one that sort of sits in everybody's brain because we still live with the, and we live on with the remnants of the British Empire as
The
well.
after effects, yeah.
But the the Roman Empire, the idea that when you hear people excusing the cruelty of empire, and I remember did an episode on Douglas Murray where he was literally doing this, and I hate that. People back then knew it was wrong to get slaves. They know. People always knew it was wrong. The establishment and the empire itself will throw out conveniences and excuses for you to use. You know, these people aren't human. These people,
Yeah.
they dehumanize and all this sort of stuff. And that always went on. But what happened? What happens with people is they're happy to live in empire, under empire, so long as they're doing well under the empire.
Yes.
So long as their lot is okay, they will excuse extreme cruelties in order to just to for the convenience of their own comfort. And that's what's happening today. These kids are no better or no worse than kids 40, 50, 60, 100 years ago. But the difference is these kids 30 years ago wouldn't be out protesting.
Yeah, because they're going to go, well, I'm still working. I'll be able to buy my own house now. When I
I'm
get,
fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm okay. But they're not okay. And this is what I don't understand. I know this. Everybody knows this. This is not a secret. I didn't just come up with this. Someone else told me this. I go, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Why does the empire not understand that all they have to do is give enough to the people to keep them quiet? Bread and circuses, keep them quiet. Give them enough to make them think that they're doing okay, and we won't have to deal with this bullshit. We won't have to deal with the TikTok ban.
But for somebody thinking, Jesus, I'm doing way worse than my parents. Now with something like TikTok, you have your own platform to go.
Exactly.
Hi guys, my name's Darren. Is anybody else like struggling to like buy their own home? And are you still 35 living at your ma's? And then you find other people going, yeah, what's going on there? And then they start looking at the world, and that's obviously another reason why they're like, hey, we don't want them doing that.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. But it's, you know, there's those things over the years. I remember when I lived in Australia, and they were saying the housing market here is ruined, and we can't, you know, people have got holiday properties and we can't afford our own homes. One of their politicians, you know, an older guy who has the house bought and paid for, he basically said, you know, if you'd all stop going out for coffees and have an avocado and toast, you'd be able to afford. I was just like, do you know how many avocado and toast you'd have to eat to buy a fucking house?
Yeah.
So that idea where it's just, I've seen those videos as well where once you dig down into it, when people are saying, you know, people should stop complaining about it. I watched a great one that was, I think it was filmed in England, and they were saying to this lady, you know, what about you? You know, do you own your own home and all that sort of stuff? She was just like, yes, I think people should stop complaining about all this. As they just kept interviewing, it turned out she got her own house because her ma died.
Somebody give her a house.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I was just like, we literally have a generation of people waiting for a parent to die to be like, I have a house now.
Yeah, but
That's grim.
Yeah, but the TV's full of adverts trying to convince your mommy to fucking remortgage her house so she can go on a holiday to Taiwan.
Yeah.
Or Thailand, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? There's going to be no fucking house left.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's shot. It is shot. But I do find it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not slagging off these young ones that are at university. We're going to talk about it too. We're going to actually we'll show it. I'm not just slagging these ones off for protesting, suggesting that if you know, but I do think I'm not saying they're any better or any worse than anybody else.
The main thing in history is student protests have usually been pretty on the right side of history.
Yeah, absolutely.
Usually.
Absolutely. 100%. So
that sort of stuff is that it's because students are an educated class.
Yeah.
Now, the whole point of that, why people say, "Oh, these students," that's a means of, as you say, an establishment to say, "Well, you've got nothing. What are you complaining for?"
Mm.
That's the idea where they're going, yes, but we want it to be better because you're going to be old and die, and we'll be here
Yeah.
with the ruins of your fucking world.
Yeah.
This is the whole thing where we're, as you say, we're now in the generation where things are slightly worse.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, it was that whole idea where my mum has 4 sons who have full-time work and own their own homes. And she's like, job done.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
She's like, I own my house. You all own your homes. We're good. We're sweet.
Yeah.
But now I've got like a niece. And I'm thinking, by the time you finish school and university, you'll be waiting to get a, I don't know how we're going to have you. You're going to have your own place and stuff. There is also that thing, maybe it is an Irish phenomenon where ownership is such a big deal for us because for so many years people couldn't or weren't allowed to own.
Yeah.
So I think it's much more in our head that it's way more important. Work as well, maybe a working class thing where there was no work.
Yeah.
So all these things just spiral out into like bigger and bigger issues.
Well, completely, yeah.
But the TikTok thing is a generation of younger people who have kind of gone, hey, this isn't right, and they're telling other people.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a massive problem. We're like, wait, this is free media.
Yeah.
That everybody can access. We need to keep that quiet.
But this is, ladies, gentlemen who listen to the podcast, this is the point. So I'm going to show you. This is an extreme example, and I think this is the anime, the wee Japanese.
This is very funny.
This is hilarious. I don't know who this girl is. I think this is some sort of a parody, but this is an example of what the young'uns are doing with TikTok. And I've spoke about this in the podcast last week. The thing that impresses me is their conciseness. They just get those bullet points and they nail it. And check this out.
The UN Secretary General says Gaza is becoming a graveyard for children, with over 4,000 gone and over 1,000 missing under the rubble. Daijoubu janai. Ohio, America-chan. Since World War II, the United States has given over $200 billion to Israel in aid, adjusted for inflation. Kya? Suguru-kun, as of September, about 62% of Americans are living from paycheck to paycheck. Ooh. There's no point in advancing technology if it doesn't lead to increased happiness, safety, and quality of life. Ooh. Moshi moshi, tens of thousands of people have been marching for a ceasefire, saying, no ceasefire, no votes. Ikimasen ka? Yakai, the U.S. Marines are now sponsoring gaming streams on Twitch, but Marines in my comments say there's still mold in the barracks. Ganbatte! Ane-chan, 6.8 million American households had very low food security in 2022. Pew pew. Nya nya, bed bugs have been around since the time of the dinosaurs. My best friendo.
That is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's the great idea of parody for education.
Yeah.
Where, because when people are thinking, oh, TikTok's all these stupid, these young kids and all their ideas and stuff. And I'm going,
the UN
yeah,
Secretary General says Gaza is becoming a
But then she's going, hey, here's a serious point, and hopefully the algorithm doesn't catch that we're doing it.
Yeah.
They'll just see me with the bunny ears going on. It's just another teenager being silly.
Well, but she managed there in, what is that, a minute 9?
Yeah.
Boom, point, bang, bang, bang. And there was no, like, I read a headline there from, it was it The Guardian last week? I can't remember, but it was a British newspaper, and it said, in response to the Can Yunus, these bodies being found at the Can Yunus Hospital, the 400 bodies, now up to 700, by the way. But with medics, people in medics with their hands zip tied behind their back and a bullet in the head.
Yeah.
And this is what they're finding. And then the bodies found at Can Yunus site, but Hamas won't release it. There's always a
yes.
There's none of that here with this. She's just saying, the U.S. Marines are sponsoring gaming streams. Next point. That's wrong.
Yeah.
You don't need a but. You don't. If you go a but, you're an idiot. You're either an idiot or you're fucking. You're probably paid for the ad.
Here's one of the things. I was over in the States for St. Patrick's Day. The U.S. Marines and the National Guard were in the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I have material, and it's on my TikTok if you want to go see. I have a joke about that.
You have a TikTok?
I have a TikTok.
So do I.
It's full of clips.
So do I, by the way.
But I have this thing where it's the new platform, so I put up with a bunch of jokes. But I did one last year where I was in Chicago last year, and I was doing material and jokes about how Paddy's Day parades in the States are so much different to ours. I said, you know, you're at a different parade than ours because the police are in the parade.
Yeah.
They have this big thing, you know, the Irish Americans, like, oh, we proudly serve. And I'm just kind of going, all right, I don't know if you know much about where you're from, supposedly.
Yeah.
So they had the National Guard and the Marines were in the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yeah.
And I was like, what in the fuck has this got to do with... You know, everything else was like Gaelic clubs, Irish dancing schools.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, there's all the Irish stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And they had like members of An Garda Síochána, and they have the fire service, and it was just like, yeah, that's cool, that's okay.
Yeah.
And then a lot of, you know, the Boston City cops and all that sort of stuff. But I remember just kind of going, this is a weird advert.
But the Americans have completely fetishized their military.
Yeah.
You know, they do that thing where they have the flyovers at football games and
they did it in Dublin. I went to the college's football game when Notre Dame were playing, and they had 3 of those. But you know it looks like a mix of a plane and a helicopter, the twin engine things. They had 3 of those fly over while they were playing the national anthem, and I was going, I'm in Dublin. What the fuck am I watching?
That's mad.
Yeah, and then at half time, so they did the flyover, the flyovers. They did that. They played the American national anthem. It was the stadium's full of American people. We're watching American football. I get that totally.
Yeah.
And at half time, then they had the ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the pilots you saw earlier, and the guys are starting the field in the full gear. Hiya, Dublin. And I was going, this is a massive advert because Notre Dame, the college that was formed by basically Irish, monks and priests, they were playing the Navy team. So the Army and the Navy have their own colleges football teams. That play in these games, but they were playing in Dublin. And I was like, this is all a big old advert. Like,
well, it is, and also their recruiting numbers they're under serious pressure to recruit.
Do they recruit on TikTok?
They recruit everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
oh yeah, absolutely. They use every platform.
I think I saw a recruitment center in Times Square when I was in New York.
Without a doubt. But they're not hitting their numbers. The young ones aren't going for it. They're going, fuck that. I'm going to go and do what?
Yeah.
Go and blow up some brown people and because of content creators like that, and these other videos that we're going to look at, they're getting the information to the young people, and the young people are going, fuck off, not having it, not doing this.
I watched a great thing the other day. I did a movie podcast with a friend of mine, and we were discussing the movie Platoon.
Yeah.
Do you know Platoon was written and directed by Oliver Stone?
A
Vietnam movie. Do you know why Platoon was written and directed by Oliver Stone? He actually served in Vietnam. And it was just like, wait a minute, this is fucked. And made a movie about it in the 80s. And it was like, he also said to John Wayne's movie, The Green Berets, because it was a big recruitment movie.
I did know that. I heard that.
It's like the biggest recruitment for the US Navy was after Top Gun. That's a true story, because everyone saw. Well, and you see these movies and go, "Oh, that's the job."
You know about the CIA's office in Hollywood?
Yeah, I know.
About that. So if you wanna, ladies and gentlemen, if you wanna go and make yourself a Hollywood blockbuster and you need some tanks, the CIA are going to have to read your script.
Mm-hmm. What are you trying? What do you say? What's the theme of this movie?
Exactly.
Well, no, it's like anything. Whenever you're traveling to the States, I'm probably not going to get in there next year. I've been on this fucking thing. It was when you go to US Customs in Dublin, they will check your social media.
Yeah.
So when you give them your passport, they scan that, and it's in your when you're doing your ESTA, your visa. They ask for your social media channels. So they do. So whenever you're going to the States,
if you're going to work,
no, if you just go on your holidays.
Get the fuck.
Yeah. They just check your Twitter to make sure you haven't said death to the West or something. So they have that, and I just go on my holidays. So no, I did that, and you have to do that, and then when they scan your thing, you can see it just all pops up on the screen, and they have a wee. That's what takes them so long, because you're just kind of going,
are you serious?
I filled that form in wrong. Yeah, that's what they do. So when they scan it, it brings up your they're checking your stuff. So
I've only been to America. The last time I was in America was 2015-16. So I'm assuming they did that with me. But
you'll not be back.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
But I said with that video there, that's so when you talk about like instant facts, since World War II, 200 billion in aid to Israel. That's one country they've been giving that to.
Yeah.
That doesn't include the war on drugs, the war on terror, all the money that's spent. If you ever go, I was doing gigs in the States, and weirdly enough, I got great laughs because people are realizing, or people are actually living that life. When I got up on stage in America, and I said, "Do you know what? I see out of all the third world countries I've been to, you have the nicest cars." The whole country's very smoke and mirrors.
It's a good joke.
It looks great, and then you go, digging beneath the surface. People have 2 jobs.
Yeah.
They're renting.
Yeah.
They can't afford to send their kids to school. Everything is money, money. If you
Well-
get sick, fuck
Well,
it. You
there's
can grit your
that.
teeth.
There's that famous clip where when George Bush was out doing a town hall when he was running for election, and there was a lady stood up and she says she works 3 jobs, and George Bush says give her, isn't it uniquely American? Give her a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as if it was a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. You shouldn't have to have 3 jobs.
Yeah, George, you're missing the fucking point here, dude. This was an old lady. This is a
Yeah.
woman in her 60s or 70s. She was working 3 fucking jobs. Insane. But check this out. This is so we're going way to the end. This is where we are right now. This is what's happening in America's colleges.
Yes.
All across. Started in Colombia, but it's spread across, and it's actually coming across to Europe now. They're doing it. They've done it in, I believe, in Paris. They're doing the same sort of thing, but the cops aren't doing this. But check this out.
Holy shit! Holy shit!
What did he do? He justified that. He's obviously filming and arresting someone else.
He's there. The logic behind it doesn't make any sense either. I mean, they're obviously tackling him because he's filming their violence.
Yeah.
So they commit violence on him while he's filming the violence.
Get him out of here. Now, years ago, that would have been the only source for somebody filming. So if you silence that camera, you're sweet. You can't
You're
be seen.
sweet.
However, everyone and their ma has one of these in their pocket now.
Exactly.
And I can go, hey, they're beating up that journalist, and I'm watching every minute of it.
And here is another one. This is. Oh, sorry. No, that's from. Yeah, no. So. Yeah, we'll just put that on. But this is happening all over America. And what has happened is these young people are being, as we've discussed, armed with the facts. They're also living in an establishment and in an empire where they're literally not getting any of the benefit.
Yes.
They're seeing the 200 billion going to Israel and going, why do they have free at the point of use healthcare? Why do they have a free education system? And I fucking don't, and we're paying for this.
When I was growing up, I used to watch movies about America, and they used to talk about the kids' college fund, and I never understood what that was.
Aye.
People literally have to save from the child is born
Yeah,
to send them to college,
yeah,
because it can be 100 grand for the year,
yeah,
and that's not even a fancy school.
yeah,
And I'm going, Jesus Christ! When I was in school, I think you could get your degree for about 3 grand.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And because we had a better system,
yeah.
and now that's all gone up. It's like 9 grand a year now.
Oh, it's 9 grand a year now.
but that's
aye,
that's the difference of 15, 20 years.
Oh, completely. But I mean, well, I'll show you the difference in 15, 20 years. I'm so fucking old that I can't get used to saying billion.
Have you ever seen Austin Powers where Dr. Evil's like, I will blow up the world for
Yeah.
1 million, and they
Yeah.
go, that's fine.
That's exactly what I'm still going 200 million, and they go, no, 200 billion.
So this guy's Fox News and the tackle.
This guy's factory.
he's filming.
Now, there's video of this. I'm sure you've seen it. And this is, again, the point with TikTok. It's all over TikTok. Professors, like we saw the one, I don't have it, but there's, I might have it actually.
I've seen
but
it, where the professor basically walks over to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And gets tackled.
Yeah. I wonder, is it here?
But she's actually saying, I'm a professor. Is it professor of economics or something? She says, I'm a professor here. Please remove the handcuff. You don't need to handcuff me.
Yeah.
I just kind of walked over to be like, what's happening here? So,
Yeah.
yeah. But they were
And
starting
she got wrestled to the ground.
Yeah, it's that idea where, they got her and the cuffed her, and it was all, stop resisting. Now, if somebody grabs you, even if they're wearing a police uniform, you're going to be, what are you doing? What the fuck's going on? As in, like, you don't need to do this. And then they go, you're resisting arrest. That kind of, but they basically tackle, it's just a woman in her 50s or 60s, isn't she? And they just
Yeah.
throw her to the ground.
Oh, completely.
And then
yeah.
she asks, I think she hits, her face is on the concrete. So she
Yeah.
asks to be moved onto the grass if they're going to press her head into
There
the
it
ground.
is. This is it.
Yes.
This is it.
In the land. Yeah. Was she actually at the protest, or is this her just like?
I don't know
going
if she was
past?
just walking through.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Puts her head on the concrete.
What, mate? what the fuck? I mean, and then
Yeah,
another
they're-
one jumps
yeah.
on top of her. I mean, this woman is clearly no threat to anyone. Look at this. They're going to get sued to death.
Yeah.
These fuckers. It's unreal. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, listening to the podcast, if you want to go and watch there's a video on the Patreon and on the YouTube, and you'll see all these. But I'm sure you probably have an idea of what we're talking about. You've seen these. But that's insanity. This is, I'm not an old woman, but an older woman,
And
an older
they're-
lady,
yeah.
and she's being tackled by a fucking cop 3 times her size, and then another cop, because the big guy can't handle her, he has to fucking join in.
That's horrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah, when there is audio in this clip, and she's basically saying, "Please get my head off the concrete," and then she's like, she starts apologizing to be like, "I'm sorry, because she's obviously terrified. God love
It's
her.
just terrifying. But there you can see there, it shows you the impunity that these cops can operate under, and the lack of training too, is she's not only being filmed by someone on their phone, there's a fucking camera crew right there.
Yeah. I wonder, was she talking to the camera crew when they got her? Because they seem to be standing beside her when she gets lifted.
What's this? You'll see that. Look,
Yeah.
you'll see the camera crew. Just you can see the shadow of them. That's them there. In
Yeah.
the shadow. There. And there's actually 2 camera crews. There's one over here and there's one here.
So this is a professor at the university. Is this the University of Ohio? Is this where the big protests are?
I think it was Berkeley or Columbia.
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 Which is
There. Look.
yeah.
That's fucking mental.
Yeah. Now stuff with this as well with student protests. I think we're going to go into the thing about what Benjamin Netanyahu was saying about
Yeah,
it. There
yeah.
is also the point of this where previous student protests in the US, one that protested very, very famously protested the Vietnam War,
Yeah.
was the Kent State shootings.
Kent State
Where
shootings.
National Guardsmen killed 4 people and injured 9. They permanently paralysed somebody as well. And they were all found not guilty after.
All the cops?
Mm.
Wow.
No, National Guardsmen. They weren't police officers.
The National Guardsmen.
They were sent to break up a protest basically at Kent State. They were protesting the Vietnam War, and I think it's 1970. And yeah, just mental. So, but this is a whole thing where there is a history of student protest. There was the Paris student riots in 1968 as well. So,
Yeah.
but that's student protests are usually quite an educated bunch, so they're not protesting out of fucking stupidity.
Well, see, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and the guys were saying on it the thing with the student protests, and it's quite a cynical take, but that's okay. I'm a cynic, so it's fine. But he was saying, and I thought it was a very, very good point. The government, the establishment, the political parties, they'll let you protest. They will let you be as LGBTQ as you want, as Black Lives Matter as you want, because it doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
And the instant that you affect them, affect their, and it's all about money. That's what this is all about. As soon as you affect their money, boom, they come down on you like a ton of fucking bricks. These students are protesting the literal establishment. The massacres, the genocide that we're watching being played out on our phones and on our computers, very rarely our TV screens. We know what's going on. These kids on TikTok are telling us what's going on, telling them what's going on. These people are out protesting, as you said, always on the right side of history, usually on the right side of history. And the government, within days, not only has spoken out against them, sent in their literal stormtroopers to commit violence on them. These are American students. These are American kids. And they're being treated like foreign enemies.
But if somebody's at university and they're an educated class, they're also not signing up for your military.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Exactly that.
They're not coming straight out of high school in the boot camp. They're like, no, I'm going to university. I'm going to do something.
Exactly. So this is what you referenced was the Benjamin Netanyahu. So the weird thing was these kids were protesting for a few days. Then Benjamin Netanyahu made a speech. Then the cops.
There's an order of service.
Unbelievable.
Where they're talking about, well, what do we do? So the whole point as well is when they say, what's happening in Israel, we're so busy with that. He's taking the time to talk about what's happening in the US.
Yeah.
Whereas the rest of the world is watching him going, what are you literally doing? What the fuck are you at?
Yeah. So this is another, again, TikTok content creator called Rathbone. You've heard me mention them. if you don't know who he is, you should go and check him out. He's very good, very concise, and on the right side.
What's happening on America's college campuses is horrific.
This is absolutely batshit insane coming from Satan, whose government has single-handedly destroyed Gaza's entire education system. 625,000 children are out of school. At least 346.
So just before we go on, Darren, do you want to explain? Anyone watching this will see his video is subtitled, but it's subtitled wrong.
This is something I noticed when I watched it through first, and because you went, oh, I thought that was maybe he wasn't picking up his accent, but he's an American, so that's probably picked up quite well. Sometimes when we speak, the algorithm doesn't quite figure out our subtitles. Now, there is a thing here where I think this may be a ploy, because obviously the algorithm's always looking for something to ban or shadow ban, is that what it is? Or hide it or not let people see it.
Yeah.
This gentleman has subtitled his video, but he's not using any of the buzzwords that they would be looking for.
So instead of Gaza Strip, he's saying Vegas Strip.
Yeah, which is completely inoffensive.
Yeah.
So he does. I think Gaza appears once in it, but he doesn't even put in schools and bombs and fire and injured and all that. It's all he's done it by emojis. But if you're listening to him and you read the subtitles, it all makes total sense.
Yeah.
He's talking about universities and it's just a big building.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, but go for it. If you're watching it, watch carefully and see what he's doing.
What's happening on America's college campuses is horrific.
This is absolutely batshit insane coming from Satan, whose government has single-handedly destroyed Gaza's entire education system. 625,000 children are out of school. At least 346 schools in the Gaza Strip have been destroyed or damaged. And this article was from January 24th, 2024. Israel has destroyed every university in the Gaza Strip. On January 17th, the Israeli military detonated 315 mines to destroy the Strip's last standing university, Isra University, south of Gaza City. At least 4,327 students have been killed as of January. At least 231 teachers and administrators have been killed. According to the UN 1 month ago, the Israeli army has directly hit more than 200 schools since the bombing began. Of the 563 school buildings in Gaza, 165 of the 212 that have received a direct hit are in areas designated for evacuation by the Israeli military. The Israeli military has designated these buildings for evacuation, and yet they still bombed them. This motherfucker wants to talk about how horrific American campuses are right now.
Unreal. This is the point. The conciseness there. It's sourced. He's using UN statistics, UN figures. He's pointing. This is where I'm getting this information. This is why they're trying to fucking ban TikTok and ban people like him.
Yeah, it's the idea of, because it is speaking out against the thing. But as you say, these are smart young people.
Yeah.
They're very well educated. They can edit video. They can.
Yeah.
They're using the technology against.
Yeah.
As you say, an establishment media where they're going, hey, just show them that and CNN there, but now there's even that point where when you talk about that, some of those media outlets are kind of turning because they're watching public opinion.
Yeah, and right.
Yeah, so it's those ones where they made no reference to it, and now they're kind of going, hey, there's a mass grave at a hospital, and
even like Kay Burley.
Yeah, you're like, you didn't mention that when they were fucking putting the people into the mass graves.
Yeah.
There was no mention of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I said, we've been watching this go on for 7 months now. And
that guy's referenced something that happened in January.
Yeah.
It's now the end of April.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is just more and more and more.
Yeah.
And the other thing as well, the one that was very, very annoying and really just shows it's basic racism. The biggest story about this whole thing since it kicked off was foreign workers when they were bombed, when those food aid workers were killed.
The World Community Kitchen.
Yeah.
Is it the World?
That was the biggest outrage, because like, hey, you can bomb these people all you want, but hey, watch them fucking Australians and British people and Irish people there.
Oh, completely. But just on that, then Israel comes out and says, "Oh, sorry, it was an accident." Then the fact, and this is what's so frustrating about this whole situation. Then the facts come out. Well, first, it's got to the stage now that if Israel says it, you just don't believe it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, this guy just says, there you go, all Zionist accusations are admissions. So if they've been accused of something, they're just like, well.
Yeah, there you go. So, and as I point out in this podcast, is the reason that they've been getting away with it is because the media cycle is so fast. Their atrocities are happening so often that you don't get time to, like the My Lai massacre in Vietnam.
Yeah.
When it happened, It then took years for that to be investigated, processed, and then put out into a couple of years before it was then, there we go, this is the thing. And then everyone went, oh my God, this is it. We do this. This is awful.
Yeah.
And it changed the course of the war.
And yeah.
It changed the course of the fucking war. It started, we're going to show you in a second, the protests at this university from the 1960s, and young people like this back then speaking out in the way that we're going to show. But these guys are doing atrocities so often, so fast, that people aren't getting time to figure out what's going on. And then whenever you do get the details of what happened with the World Kitchen, that they weren't bombed. They were bombed 3 times. And they were in vehicles that the Israeli occupation forces designated. These are your vehicles. You are safe. We know you're there. We know where you're going. We know what you're doing. You're fine. And they bombed them anyway. By the time that information comes out, there's been fucking 3 more bloody massacres.
It's like war zones used to have people who work for the press used to have the blue flak, you know, the flak jacket and the blue helmet.
Yeah.
Which is now a fucking bullseye on you.
A bullseye?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're just like, who do you work for? And you go, oh, fuck, you know, because we have that where we've seen that live recorded where a guy's doing like a broadcast.
Yeah.
And a soldier will walk up to him and go, who are you with? Before they decide. And there was one, was it an Al Jazeera?
Yeah.
But it was like a local, basically Palestinian journalist.
Yes.
And they're like, what are you doing here? And he was like, oh no. But they filmed all this and they were like, we're broadcasting right now.
Yeah.
Because we have a truck with a fucking antenna on the top of it. And we watch this live on TV.
Well, the amount of journalists that have been killed in Gaza it's like almost at 200.
Yeah.
Something like that. I went with the Bonnevils. We did the last Gaza Aid gig we did was up in Toom, and there was a Palestinian journalist, and he was going back. I was like, just fucking unbelievable. I mean, it's just insane. But here is the video that we were mentioned from. This is, well, I have it labeled as Berkeley. Mm-hmm. University of California, Berkeley. So that's correct. So this is, I'll turn the audio up.
And this is 1964. This isn't even a major time of conflict. This is pre-Vietnam.
But this guy, whereas we've got our content creators today, like the dude we just showed you there, Rathbone, and the anime girl from before, doing it in a very modern way. This was what was being said back then. And I'm going to make sure I get this volume down a wee bit because I think it was a bit loud.
At the time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
That's amazing. That's a 21-year-old in 1964.
Sounds like a goddamn commie to me.
Goddamn communist.
Yeah.
But he probably was. He may well have been a communist. But you contrast that. It's like it's hilarious. You contrast that with TikTok, girl.
Yeah.
or with
that's someone who's speaking to a crowd that had to be present to hear him.
Yes.
We're now watching somebody where you and I can watch a video of somebody in the States go, oh yeah, that's not right.
Yeah.
So the people, but that there you go. That's his. That man was arrested along with 800 people. But because basically that's a, this is the whole the land of the free thing. You're like, you're not very free at all, are you?
No, absolutely not.
You're only free as long as you shut your fucking mouth and do as you're told.
Within the confines of our predetermined, what is predetermined acceptable speech, you're as free as you want to be.
Yeah. You
stray outside those parameters, and you're a fucking enemy of the state. Literally an enemy of the fucking state. Like it says there at the bottom of that, J. Edgar Hoover's FBI was terrified of this speech.
Yeah.
That's insane. That in itself is insane.
But I know that's from 1964. So basically, this is nothing new. There are always been people who wake up, and then there is always that fucking danger of when you do, what will happen.
Yeah.
And now it has become more sophisticated where it's computers, it's reading, your phone and your freedom of information. They've got the Patriot Act over in the States. You can, in the UK, you can be detained for, is it nearly like a week or something before you, I will fact check that and come back to this. But there is something about, it used to be, we left Jamie questioning and then we have to let you go. Now they're like, no, Special Powers Act, we're going to keep him for a while here.
Yeah. Well, we always had a bit of that coming from the north going into the UK. There was always special laws. I remember getting hooked loads of times going through airports in the 90s and brought in to
When you're working in England.
Aye, being brought into I don't have a wee word with you there, and you know,
Where you off to? You're like, I'm fucking labour in London.
some unnamed spooks, and so there was always a bit of that, and the state will always, but it's gone. It's so invasive and so intrusive now. Like you know, you're fucking. You know, we joked earlier about your fridge spying on you, but that is information. That metadata is useful to people that know what to do with it.
Like if you've got when people go, oh, that only listens when you say the keyword. I'm like, but how does the device know to listen out for the keyword?
I was sitting. I was sitting last night, or yesterday afternoon. Or was it last night? I know last night. We was getting together a few wee bits and pieces for this, and I put on. There's a documentary out now about the KLF. What happened to the KLF? Yeah. And I was watching, and I put it on the TV, and I had my laptop sitting on my knee, and there, by God, an advert for a KLF. Well, it was KLF T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I went, my fucking laptop is listening to me. I didn't know. I knew your phone did it, and then I went, of course, my fucking laptop.
They're all linked. KLF is gonna rock, y'all.
Yeah.
What a band as well.
What a band.
Two insane proper artists.
Yeah.
Terrors.
They were fucking lunatics.
Mental. Yeah.
Lunatics. So, wanted to. So we've done that. Did we do the cops? Aye.
We did the cop. The one we needed to cover was the mental case who walked into a protest thinking she was going to get some sort of clickbait out of it.
So this was the moment. I played this on last week.
I am not afraid.
Last week's episode.
Look at my face. I am not afraid.
I'll turn it down there. It's actually playing now. I found a version without the Curb Your Enthusiasm music, which the guys at Due Dissidence. That dude dancing in the background takes me to the fucking fair.
Oh, great time.
He's class. He's obviously. I think the smell of weed would be strong around this place.
Fair play to him. There's a drum circle going on there.
There's a drum circle. So we'll play this from the start. Check out this headbanger.
I am not afraid. Look at my face.
For those of you that are listening to this and not watching it, this lady has adorned herself in a white t-shirt, and on the front of it she's written the word Jew, and on the back of it she has a yellow Star of David, which is anti-Semitic, by the way.
A yellow Star of David?
You can't be running around parodying the greatest atrocity that happened in the 20th century.
Oh, well, this isn't a parody. This young lady is Jewish herself.
I personally am offended. I think it's anti-Semitic.
She hasn't got the memo then, all right?
No.
It's okay.
She's got the yellow Star of David on the back of her t-shirt, and she's walked into this protest, which is at a university somewhere. I don't know where it is, somewhere in America, obviously. And she is saying, I am a Jew, I'm not afraid, look at my face, because these kids are all wearing masks. They're all masked up. So people were thinking it was because they were COVIDians or something like this. It's not. It's because there's facial recognition software where they're being filmed by the spooks.
Can we point out as well that this video opens before you see this young lady? There's a shot of people standing with a banner that says Jews for Palestine.
Yeah.
That's what the video opens with. So this is not a protest where this woman is in any danger. Or
No, there are Jews there. And
yeah.
The thing that is brilliant about it, she is completely ignored.
Yeah.
She doesn't even get a glance. And so we'll play the video.
I am not afraid.
No reason to be afraid of.
Look at my face.
No thanks.
I am not afraid.
The guy dancing in the background just
My face on camera. Show my face. Not me.
Sometimes in this, I'd be like,
Not
performance art or
me.
something, isn't there?
No one knows.
The drama department.
Not me. Not me. Not me.
And then this was filmed, and it's still released after she made herself out to be a fucking idiot.
Yeah, no one can say currencies or people just had a peaceful protest. I mean, essentially what we're doing here is just people showing support by rocking up. That is a protest. It's just to show some form of stuff. Hey, look, there's loads of us, and we don't agree with this. And this this woman has walked in the middle of it to be like, don't be doing anything now. And everyone's like, we're having a drum circle and we're just meeting up with fellow people who think what's going on is wrong.
But this
is peaceful protest.
But this is the thing that there was so.
Was she trying to promote a reaction?
She was trying to promote a reaction. Now there was another one that there's a girl. There was another protest, and they turned up. They were Zionists, and they turned up as a counter protest. This is another university, and some dude had a Palestinian flag on a piece of cane or whatever, and walked past her. And she was going, saying what she was saying, and it grazed her face, right? So. It was purely. It was all filmed. You could see the guy didn't even know she was there. He just walked by like this guy dancing. He was just dandering past. She's been drug around every fucking news station in America because she claims she got stabbed in the eye.
Okay, but it's been videoed to be like that's not what happened.
It wasn't even close.
So when this lady is on these news stations telling this, they don't show the video.
They don't show the video.
Okay.
And they don't counter it by saying, well, if you got stabbed in the eye. I mean, she literally referenced her Russian Jewish grandmother who fled Russia back in whenever, and she had a scar over her eye. As a part, she was attacked or something. She references this poor woman, and this scar that she has, like her granny has this legacy scar.
Yeah,
and from something terrible that happened to her, something real that genuinely was genuinely bad, and she references this fucking granny, and she doesn't even have a plan. Like even for the camera to let on. Just go and get some doctor to write you a prescription. I'm sure you can get one. Put a patch on your eye and pretend. Doesn't even do it. And this is within hours of this stabbing. Like she says, I got stabbed in the eye. And she's being drugged around all these TV channels. And this is the narrative that's being spun. So this girl is trying to do this as well. They're trying to find the anti-Semitism because that's the only thing they can lean into is anti-Semitism. As they've been doing it from the start. We were all afraid, literally, all of us. I spoke out. I give speeches at protests up in Lurgan with the Lurgan Palestinian Solidarity Committee. I was asked to speak. And I was afraid to say Palestine will be free from the river to the sea because I actually said to Rory Craney, who was one of the organisers, I said, is that anti-Semitic? I'm not sure. I know what it meant.
Yeah.
Now, 7 months later, no problem. And he actually said, I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. I think it might be. It's not.
No, but this is all bled into what you're hearing. It gets to the point where you're going, am I doubting what I think?
And that's the point. So I said this at the time. I said if you go back on these podcasts for years, I've been saying for years, the way I described it was the word anti-Semitism, words have heft.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And anti-Semitism, Nazi, paedophile, these are the worst things you can be called in our modern age. You just like you someone called you any of those, you'd fight them.
It's a branding. It's hard to wash off.
It's hard to wash off. But whenever they started to use anti-Semitism against people like Jeremy Corbyn, then that word lost its heft. So a word, the way I described it was a word is like a hammer hitting a rock. It will smash the rock, but every time it makes contact with a rock, it loses a little bit of itself.
Yeah.
And that word anti-Semitism is that hammer, and that hammer is now no more. It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't exist. And the thing again with these TikTok kids, I've showed a couple of videos in the last podcast. These TikTok kids explaining what a Semite is.
Yeah.
In 45 seconds, and it's not a Polish Jew.
Yeah, but that's the whole idea because you go to yourself and you go, maybe I don't understand the meaning of the word, and then when somebody goes, that's what a Semitic language is, and you you go, oh well, then no, I'm not anti-Semitic at all. It's one of those ones where just like hoping that nobody gets killed is not anti-Semitic.
No.
If the people need to mix that up where they're just kind of going, when somebody says you're anti-Semitic, you're just like, no, I just don't want anyone to die.
Yeah.
On any side of anything.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking peace-loving hippie that wants everybody to get along.
Yeah.
But it's like people say that you're calling for a ceasefire. I'm like, a ceasefire is to cease firing.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out after. Just fucking stop.
But that's exactly. But that shows you how ugly this whole thing got.
Yeah.
Even a ceasefire was being labelled anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And you're like, so I'm a peace-loving hippie calling for people to stop killing each other, but then they lost control of that whole narrative, which is why fucking idiots like this are going out into peaceful drum circles with their
Yeah.
dancing is just doing me is just brilliant. Or is that a lady? But they're trying to provoke the reaction because they're trying to look at the anti-Semites out here, get the stink of anti-Semitism on you.
Yeah.
But there is no stink of anti-Semitism. That word doesn't mean anything anymore, and that's what they're going back to. So they were doing this 7 months ago when this all started. That was the go-to. You questioned anything, you're an anti-Semite. You questioned what they were doing, you're an anti-Semite.
Yeah.
They're going back to that now. You know, I've noticed that this past.
It's come back round again.
It's come back round again.
Do you condemn? And you're just like, oh, come on, let's fucking get past this.
We can't. No. Well, again, on that, do you condemn Hamas? Absolutely fucking not. And I got on that early. People are. That's now. No, I don't. What do you expect these people to do? And we now know again because of these kids on TikTok, because of these people putting up these short, concise, well-sourced points about this is why we have Hamas. Hamas didn't come into existence because the Palestinians hate Jews. It came into existence because, and they go, this is why, because they weren't allowed to bump, and you go, oh fuck, right, okay, that's why we have Hamas.
Yeah,
right, okay.
It's a very concise history.
It's a very, there's a reason. It's not because they're anti-Semites. Well, first of all, they can't be anti-Semites because they're Semites.
Yeah. They're Semitic people, yeah. So.
Yeah.
But no, stuff like that when it comes out, and yeah, it is that great doubt where you go, I know what I think, but Jesus, can I say that to somebody?
Yeah.
You know, is it okay for me and you to do a podcast where we're talking about this? But then that's more, all we're doing is questioning things.
Yeah.
And saying to people, hey, people listen to this, is that all right? What do you think? Tell us.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're doing. But there's loads of this stuff as well.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is now. See, this is from a different angle. This is one. On the last podcast, I spoke about the batshit stuff that was in the Bible and all this sort of the Christian right.
Oh yeah.
And I showed a video from a girl on TikTok, and she explained about Zionists. There's more Christian Zionists than there is Jewish Zionists.
I'd well believe it.
By far, she went like by fucking far. And we know that the Christian right is funding a lot of like the thing about the three red heifers and all this sort of stuff. They're funding all that because they're literally trying to bring about a biblical prophecy of Armageddon. They believe this. So check this fucking lunatic out. So it says here again for people that are listening to this. I'll read the post. It says, on last night's live stream, Christian nationalist organisers of today's United for Israel march at Columbia explained that they're actually excited about rising anti-Semitism, which there isn't, by the way.
So this is the counter-protesters?
This is the counter-protesters. Okay. It's a sign of the end times is near and Jews will convert to Christianity. By the way, the Christians are using the Jews as Jesus bait.
Okay.
This is the thing, and the Jews that don't convert, and there's only a certain, there's like a number, like 40,000 or something. There's literally a number, and once you hit that number, all the other Jews will be killed.
This is a Christian person saying this?
Yes, this is the Bible. This is the Bible. Check this out.
Jesus would be delighted with you fucking idiot.
And as you know, we're seeing this rise in this flood of anti-Semitism across the world. Yes, these are the end days. I know people say all the time, everyone's saying it's the end days. Jesus said it was the end days 2,000 years ago. Well, it is the end days. And we're one day closer to the return of Jesus. And as that ramps up, we're going to see a rise of evil. We're going to see a rise of glory. And we're going to see a rise of hatred for the Jewish people. And I think right now in America, I would have never imagined we would be at a place where university students in state-funded schools would be marching across their campuses, shouting death to Israel, death to America, burn Tel Aviv to the ground. I mean, it is unbelievable what we're seeing. Scenes like this that haven't really been broadcasted since the 1930s. And History seems to be replaying itself. And so
Hitler
in
has a
light
lot
of
to answer
that,
for.
as
This
many of you
fucker has
know,
1.6 million
we are
views on this.
gathering tomorrow night on the campus of Columbia University for a United for Israel march.
Sean
And
fucking
as you
Denim
know,
jacket, big fucking American flag on it. Christ.
So, but
Sorry, Jesus. Took a Lord's name in there.
I would say that Hitler has a lot to answer for, because anytime anybody wants to reference anything bad, they just go, but Hitler. And they do that thing as well. Do you want to be Chamberlain or do you want to be Churchill? You know, that appeasement moment and all that.
Yeah.
So, the Christian right. So, the thing that he said there. Now, he never thought that he would see people saying death to Israel, death to America on American college campuses. Well, first of all, they're not. Second of all, if someone does, and you always get a provocateur will turn up at a peace rally with a fucking swastika or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's been shown more and more and more and more that those are actually paid agents. The FBI and this secret services put these provocateurs into these crowds in order to turn away normal people who are rightly disgusted by what they're seeing on TikTok, among other places. But then some dude standing there with a fucking swastika. You go, they did it with the trucker protests during the COVID times in Canada.
Yeah.
There was one guy stood with a swastika on a bridge, and that was the image that was beamed around the world, and all these people got the stink of that put on them. But all they were protesting for their fucking rights. Well, I don't want to get into whether they were right or wrong. It's not the purpose of this podcast. But normal people, when presented with that, and that was all they were presented with. They weren't interviewed in detail, in depth, but what these guys actually wanted. But they were just presented with this far right protest movement. Here's a picture of a guy with a fucking swastika.
I'd say I don't know how it works around the world, but I would imagine here, you've been to the Palestinian solidarity marches and stuff. If anybody showed up like that here, they wouldn't be long told to be fucking getting.
Get the fuck.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Here, this isn't your thing.
Yep.
Way down there.
But these guys are told to offity fuck, and they do get told off. They do fuck off.
Yeah.
But that moment is captured on camera where they're there. It's all out of context. It's all presented out of context, and that's the moment that's presented on the mainstream media.
But this guy speaking here, where he's like, people are saying death to the West and death to America. I'm just going, well, show me that video. We live in a video where that all happens, and if I see that video, I go, well, Jesus, they should be doing that.
Have we not just shown on this podcast multiple video examples? As you said, everybody's walking around with a smartphone in their pocket, and
so you no longer can just say something. Everyone just goes, we'll just take that as gospel then. So
yeah.
I mean, that was a shit pun there, but I just realised when I said that, take it as gospel from this idiot here.
I wonder, will this video play here? No, it won't.
That's really weird. Now, the Christian Zionist thing, I do know that. Now, it takes all sorts of folks to make the world go round, but people who are then opportunistic about this, the world's going to fucking hell in a handbasket, and they're just like, hey, that looks like that thing we read that time about the world going to end. And you go, aye.
Well, that's the weird thing. So, the Jewish what do you call the what do you call the hardcore the
Hasidic,
is it?
Yeah,
the guys with the
hats
things.
and the curls. Yeah.
Aye, so they don't believe, even though there's lots of those guys living in Israel, they're actually not Zionists. Because Zionism is a political movement. It's not. It's nothing to do with religion.
There's a massive community of those guys in Melbourne. I live in Australia. Lovely fellas. Anytime I interact with anybody,
sure. Great food. But those guys in Israel. So the prophecy that the Christians are trying to invoke, they're trying to bring about the prophecy, and their reading of the Torah says. And it's one of the reasons as to why they don't believe in the Israel Zionist project. Zion will come about after when the Messiah is sent.
Okay.
Right. So, you can't have an Israel before. So they say we will have Zion and then the Messiah will come. And these guys are saying no. The correct reading of the Torah is the opposite of that.
Yes.
that Zion will come after the Messiah.
Is it their kind of, that's sort of their Revelations kind of part, is it? Because
Aye.
we have Christian Revelations, the ending time, and then what happens after.
Well, they don't believe that the Messiah has been sent. So Christians believe that Jesus is the Messiah.
Yeah.
Jews and Muslims believe Jesus was a prophet, but not the Messiah. So that's the difference. It's fucking different. Little is known, but so the Hasidic guys, whether they're real hardcore proper Jews, they don't believe that Zion will come about until after, and that this trying to bring it about is actually what's the word when you're going against the religion base?
When you're going against the
Going,
religion?
blasphemy.
Okay.
They believe it's blasphemic. That you're trying to basically, as the Christians are doing, trying to use the Jews as Jesus bait, trying to get them come Jesus.
Yeah.
You know,
the dove from above.
Dove from above.
But stuff like that, but all of this extra stuff, and I mean, we're talking about it, so I don't know if we're helping or not. It's all extra distraction as well.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, hey, this is I know this is the main shit that's going on, but hey, what about all this mad shit these boys are saying too? And you're just kind of going, our main purpose is that any protest we've been to or anything, it's just like, just fucking stop killing.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out after, but you need to stop first.
Well, but you're assuming as a reasonable person would, that both the parties are equally invested in not massacring the other.
Oh, hey, logic has no place in this, clearly.
No,
But
clearly,
we are
yeah.
bringing it from a logical point to go, surely you need to, you need to stop. We had it here where you can't negotiate with a gun in your hand.
No.
It has to fucking stop before we can do anything to fix. But I mean, they had it in the 90s with, Yasser Arafat and all that kind of stuff, and the PLO and that, where they were looking at a two-state solution, and then we've changed our mind.
Yeah, but the two-state solution again was always a canard. It turns out that the Zionists, and that's what we're talking about here. Whenever we're talking about this, we do need to clarify. We're not talking about Jews. We're talking about Zionists. That's a different fucking thing.
Oh yeah, this is getting the words wrong as well. Which people will be like, Jew, Israeli, Zionist. I'm like, Zionism is the thing.
Is the thing.
The word should have no problem with somebody of a Jewish faith or any faith.
No.
That's your personal thing. You do that.
100%.
Or Israel is a country that has people in it. Zionists are people who exist within that place. And they're fucking worldwide as well.
It is a political identity.
Yes.
It is a political movement. It is nothing. The original Zionists were atheists for a start. But it turns out that the whole two-state solution thing was always a lie. And the basically it's sort of it's coming up again in the media. So they're going, I believe in the two-state solution, which was the solution that that people were talking about last year, but it's now impossible. It cannot happen. The only way forward is a one-state solution where everybody exists in it as a fucking equal. What you call it is up to you, people.
Yeah.
Palestinians and Israelis and Jews and Muslims and Christians that all live there. That's up to you. What you do with it is up to you. But this two-state thing can never happen. Where are they going to send those borders back? I mean, back to, Hamas agreed and the PLO agreed on the 1968 borders. But ever since 1968, the Israelis have been sending Zionist settlers into the Palestinians' land, stealing their homes, burning their fucking
chipping
farms.
away at that, bulldozing. Yeah.
What are they going to send them all? It's clear. It's nonsense. It's never going to happen. It's a childish pipe dream, is what is at best. But whenever we're talking about this, we do, as you said, we do need to put a stamp on it, saying this is Zionism we're talking about. We're not talking about Jews.
Yeah, that's a main point to do that. To go. This is not a criticism of an entire religion or people.
No.
Just go. There's a very fucking specific percentage of people who believe in this.
Yeah,
and they're just the world's fucked due to them.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to finish on this. This is a guy I follow called Midwestern Marks, and he is really, really good. And again, another TikTok creator, Instagram and Twitter as well. But these videos go up on TikTok first, and then they rip them, put them onto the other platforms. You always see the little TikTok logo. Back to the point of this podcast. This is why they're banning TikTok. They'll tell you it's because of China. They'll tell you it's because it's a national security threat to the US. First of all, China manufactures some of the American military's weaponry. China provides a lot of the chemicals, etc., and material needed by the U.S. military to manufacture their weaponry.
Yeah.
If there's a threat to the U.S. security, I would say it's the military-industrial complex itself, and you've got to widen the question out. What is America? America is its people. Who's the threat to the people? This insatiable, this never unfillable maw that is the American military-industrial complex that just demands that there's me going to say millions,
Yeah.
billions upon billions upon billions of American taxpayer dollars are just shoveled into it for forever. It seems now they're never going to stop. The Afghan war, 20 fucking years. They were there to replace the Taliban with the Taliban.
And hey, that was trillions of dollars.
That was trillions. Jesus.
Yeah. So that's billions of billions. So, but that idea of that whole thing where you're saying it's insatiable, that is the whole point where when you say what is America, it's its people, and its fucking government is a danger to itself, to the people. When you've been there, you go, all that money you gave away and all that stuff. If you became, which is happening now, where they're getting quite nationalist, but they play on that for election.
Yeah.
We're like, greatest country in the world. And you're going, have you been to any other fucking countries?
Yeah.
Go to Canada. Just stick a head over the board and go, this is nicer. Where they have those opportunities and stuff. But it's that idea where the money that, if you're saying, they're giving away this and this cost them so many trillion and that, I'm just going to go, Jesus, you guys would have been like the fucking Jetsons if you had used that here.
Oh, completely.
Yeah. You'd have some spot if you kept that money in.
100%. But this is it's the 1% thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but they have to go out to get the money from somewhere else and bring it back in.
Yeah.
And then it's only so many people get it.
Yeah, well, that's empire.
Yeah.
But and again, this is the thing of empire where they go to. I'm deeply fascinated by what's going on in Africa at the minute, the west of Africa, especially all these colonies. Like, I didn't know this. The last podcast I did when I quit last year was on. There's a fascinating character called Colonel Ibrahim Traore, who's sort of from Burkina Faso, and he's sort of modelling himself on Thomas Sankara, the great revolutionary of the 80s that they killed. And I'll be doing an episode on him. I've got a big read on him and all the things that he achieved in his short time in power. But these countries are going through this period of decolonialization, and they've been quite radical about it. Niger has just kicked the American military out, and the American military are refusing to leave. And as I pointed out on Twitter, I said, well, that's an occupation then.
Yeah. That all sounds a bit active warish.
It's all that's literally an occupation. So, but they seem to be going through with it now. In the interim, they've also magically discovered so many trillion barrels of oil under the country. So now all of a sudden the American military's
definitely not leaving.
They're definitely not fucking leaving. And if they have to come back, they'll be coming back with more of them.
Yeah.
So things like that. But these countries are going through this period of decolonialization, and it is fucking stunning to me. I think it's absolutely brilliant, obviously, but it's fascinating to see. All the information, again, via TikTok and channels like that, all the information that's coming out. I didn't know this. I think it actually is current. It is actually current. These countries that were colonized by France in Africa, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Mali, all these sort of countries in West Africa, those were the countries that were hit hardest by the transatlantic slave trade because of their geographic location. Their currency is still called the colonial French franc today.
Right. So even when there's an independence, they're just like, sure, that's just the money. That's
it's
what
called the colonial French franc.
France hasn't used franc since the euro came in.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go. But
and that's even further. That's even like later than what they've done.
Exactly. And then I saw another picture where, again, this is why they're shutting these fucking things down. Showed you a picture of Emmanuel Macron in some vault in the Bank of France or wherever it is in Paris, and all the French gold. It goes. You can't see the back end of it. It's just bars of gold stacked this high on the floor, and he's just sort of leaning. This is France's wealth.
Yeah.
And this guy goes, France has no gold mines. There is no gold in France.
Where'd that come from?
Where did it come from? It come from Mali
Yeah.
and Burkina Faso and Nigeria. They've got the fucking gold.
Yeah.
They're still rich countries. This idea of sending Thomas Sankara as well was another great one for that. I'll get into it another time. But he was they refused Ibrahim Traore, Colonel Ibrahim Traore. He refused the aid money. So the French government and the UN and they put the World Bank and all this, they put so many, but there's all these millions of dollars of aid, and he says, take your aid and fuck off.
Yeah.
We've been getting aid off you for 60 fucking years, and look at us. We don't need your fucking aid. It's obviously not working.
Yeah, he's like, if you leave and we start selling our own
Our
produce, we'll be fine.
Exactly. So this is a guy called Midwest Marks. You want to go and check this guy out. He's really, really good. Another fantastic TikTok creator. You can go on to TikTok and watch stupid dance videos or people behaving like fucking half-wits, but there's also full of this.
When you said like a Midwest Marxist, I was just like, John Cougar Mellencamp. Which is basically just Bruce Springsteen from a farm, if you don't know.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Oh, ain't that America? Sorry, go on.
U.S. Senator Pete Ricketts recently said the quiet part out loud when it comes to the TikTok ban, saying that the app needs to be banned because pro-Palestinian and Hamas videos on TikTok have more reach than the top 10 U.S. news websites combined. And it's truly a great honor that the government feels the need to come in and infringe on everybody's freedom of speech by banning this app, because me and other creators are making pro-Palestine videos that are getting more views than they can get with the corporate propaganda. I mean, they don't have any other options. People aren't believing their lies anymore, so they have to ban the place where people are getting the truth. People aren't stupid enough or brainwashed enough anymore to sit down in front of their TVs and watch Fox News and MSNBC and think that they're getting informed. People are seeing on their phones videos and pictures of what's going on in Gaza. They're seeing the devastation and the targeting of children. And then they flip on the TV and they see the mainstream establishment media portraying the Israelis as the good guys and doing everything they can to demonize protesters who are standing up against the genocide. And that's why people are turning to outlets like mine here on TikTok. They don't buy the propaganda anymore. So the U.S. State Department and the Israeli lobby are in panic mode, looking to ban the app as a whole.
He uses a very good word there, anymore.
Anymore.
He's like, people aren't brainwashed anymore because they have this. This is freedom of information.
Yeah.
Where somebody says something to you and you just, it's like there's no need for arguments in the bar anymore.
Yeah.
Where somebody says something and you go, hang on, you just fucking check. I can fact check that for you. I'm like, I'm telling you, that's not who scored that goal in the 1974 FA Cup.
I go up to visit you're 100%. I go up and visit my dad. My dad, he goes to the local Celtic club Saturday afternoon. He sits with his brother and a couple of the boys, and they all sit there and they argue about shit. And I remember every now and again I'd go up and sit with them for an hour or two and have a bit of crack. And they're a great laugh. And I remember one time they were arguing about just that. Somebody scored that goal and somebody didn't do that, or that horse didn't fall at that race, or so, it was something like that. And I went, boys, hold on a minute here. And I Googled it. I went, yep, no, he did score that goal in the FA Cup final in 1984, and he did play for fucking. And I looked, and the conversation just went, oh, okay.
You ruined their fun.
I ruined their fucking crack. I ruined their crack. And I never bring my phone out anymore.
Yeah.
I just let them go for it. The fact is not the point.
Yeah.
It's not the point. The crack is the point. But that's a different thing. But these guys, as you said, anymore, you can't get away with it anymore because content creators like these fucking brilliant young people are out there doing this, furnishing their own generation with facts. Then this old bastard goes on the fucking mainstream news, Senator Pete Ricketts. Is that his name? It is.
Yeah.
Pete Ricketts, and just talks absolute shite about all these young people pro-Hamas. I go, we're not pro. They know who they are. They know they're not pro anything. They're not a pro a death cult. They're not pro that. They're fucking asking for people. We're watching a genocide being carried out, and then you're going onto the news and fucking calling me a fucking terrorist. And we're not having it anymore.
Yeah, because I'm just like, stop killing people. How about that?
Yeah.
It's that one as well, where there's the great one where, you know, the US State Department, where they do the little news rounds at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There was that great one a few weeks ago. I don't think you were doing the podcast when it came out, but it basically, somebody said, you know, we're sending military aid and guns and weaponry to Israel. You know, should we maybe not do that? Somebody of the press asked that, and I think it's a Reuters journalist because the little guy from the state, he was like, look, you know, we're here, we're in the US. He says, you know, we can't tell another country what to do. We can't tell Israel what to do. And this guy just went, unless we invade them.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, and then the guy was like, oh, come on, Steve, and he was just like it was a real joke.
Yeah,
but he was like, oh no,
that was that vampire looking fucker.
Yeah,
one of the spokespeople.
But the guy was just like, he was like, we can't tell another country what to do. And then the other guy it was so well done. He just went, unless we invade them.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, come on now, you know, as in like, that was good joke, buddy.
Yeah.
But I was just like, yeah, fucking, you are. This is the same idea of, you know, North Korea and China, where if North Korea kicks up a fuss and China's like, there's money. Shh.
Yeah.
It's the same thing here, where they make noise and America's like, hey, giant military base we have in the Middle East, keep it down.
Yeah.
Here's this.
Exactly.
But it is the point now with the public opinion, so it is continue your support, continue to protest, continue to fucking be vocal. They can't be quiet.
Well, again, I mean, these back to my previous point. The information is there. The kids, we all have this information in a way that we've never had it before. It's never existed before, this information. And it is, the internet started out a certain way, and it was this free space where people could, and it was great crack. And then the big players got established over the course of a decade, the Googles, the YouTubes, the Facebooks, and all this sort of Twitter, Instagram, that's all the same fucking company, isn't it? Mm-hmm. They all got established, and they controlled a lot of the flow of the information, and especially this past number of years. But it's really fascinating to see that the thing that's broken the blockade, and it was a blockade, is fucking TikTok. And I remember talking with Mickey Bartlett about this a couple of years ago. He was all, I didn't even know what TikTok was. What's TikTok? He said, it's a fucking sewer, man. It's the pit of humanity. It's the worst of humanity on TikTok. And it is true. He's 100% right. That element is there. But it's not all that TikTok is. It's not all that these people are out there.
If you go looking for what you want, you'll find it.
And then
if you just turn it on, it'll show you some shite.
It'll
but
show
if you start looking, it'll find
and
you what you need.
And by the way, this is not me defending TikTok. I still don't like it. I have it. By the way, we have a TikTok for the podcast, so you go follow it if you do TikTok. Do you do TikTok?
I've updated very little.
I
went through a run of like a month, and then I went, I'm bored of this.
Yeah. I'm very similar. So I'm trying to do so. I try to put up a little supercut of each episode.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
And just throw it up and
chop bits out.
But as I was saying, the you pointed out earlier on. You said, I don't know if you said it while we were recording, that in China TikTok isn't like what we have.
No, China's like apparently TikTok in China is basically like an information source.
Aye.
Yeah, you can do, simple stuff, same as we would have what you would use YouTube for, but it's a lot more educational and helpful.
Aye.
Hey, how do I change a tire in my car? Yeah, what sort of car have you got? Okay. Yeah, hey, here's a video of a guy being like, if you've got a Peugeot 306, this is how you do it. Your jack point's going to be, that's more what it is over there.
Yeah.
So I think, but then, I mean, look, China's got its own issues with censorship and all that kind of stuff.
Of course, absolutely.
But it's that idea where I think they're just have less of the messing about.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, use this, but use it right.
Yeah.
But then we get down to so much more of, there's so many places where people telling you, like, here's a means of information, but use it this way. And we go, well, that's not a means of information. That's you tell me what you want me to know.
Yeah.
So, but look, same thing, either or.
Yeah.
We covered a lot.
Yeah. It's good.
We'll call it. That was fun.
Did you enjoy that?
I did. I'll do my hair next time. I forgot we were doing video. I look like I'm fucking going bald. Not that.
Where?
I'm not even, just because I put my hair into the road.
You do not look like you're going bald. You have a fucking massive head of fucking South Armagh hair on you there, mate.
Head in me, like a ditch, like I'm falling into a field. Anyway.
Class. Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Darren, for coming down. Appreciate it.
No bash. What else you be doing on Sunday morning?
Exactly. What else would you be doing on Sunday morning?
Watching football.
We're going to go and watch Donegal play
Cheer on. The
Cheer
neighbours.
on the neighbours in the other Ulster semi-final. We just about scraped through yesterday. Last kick of the ball.
Yeah, so we'll go see who we're playing now in the final.
So Armagh's through to the final of the Ulster Championships, the Ulster final. As again, we just about got over the line with Down playing very negative.
The other neighbours.
The other neighbours. Very old school football, wasn't it?
No, there were more fucking scores in old school football. Yeah.
You know what I mean. You know, like so that shit from the 90s. I hated that stuff. It was bad. But yeah. So yeah, gigs. We've got Kilkenny. We've got Cathedral Quarter Arts Festival. We've got Chuck Hill here at the house, and then we're going to Finland. Go to the bonnevilles.co.uk and you get links for all of those. And Darren, do you want to remind?
Sunflower Comedy Club last Sunday of every month, and also the Grand Opera House Studio Series, which is on the 10th and 11th of May. Get tickets. I've got a brilliant lineup together with myself, Connor Keys, Rory Woods, and Leanne McCooey. So
Can I come to the 10th?
Can, of course. Go on ahead.
The thing on the 11th. Brilliant. Actually, maybe we could go on the 11th because me and Chris and Jeannie and Shaylee are going for a day out.
Oh, aye.
After the Cathedral Quarter Arts Festival gig. So we're going to go for some food and then hit the town.
Yeah, go for it. We'll see you there.
Oh, class. Okay, we'll do that. And everybody, if you listen to this and you want to watch it, you can go over to YouTube or you can hit us up on Patreon. And if you want to throw some money at it, it's £1 a month on Patreon, or you can do the buy me a coffee thing. You can just a one-time throw me a couple of quid into the bucket.
And enjoy it before the algorithm buries this as well.
Yeah, we I think we hit every mark. We'll just give it away. Anti-Semitism, Nazis, communists, TikTok ban.
And if you hadn't, now you're saying all the words that